Hey guys, welcome back to Exit 45. Yep, this is where we're starting. So last video you guys saw, we went ahead and we got the engine run done. We put the engine through several runs, and so far we're very happy with it. We just have a few things that we need to work on that, but overall this video is about kind of an update altogether of what's going on with the car. That will now include the engine. So let's get after it. Okay guys, so if you remember when I put this together and I put the restrictor in here, I went ahead and I've pulled that out because my oil pressure during all the runs was running. Initially it hit 70, came back down to about 60. Right now it hits about 60, comes down to about 55. And that pressure is just a little too high for me. I don't really want my pressure running quite that high. I mean, I wanted it to come up from what these things normally are, but I didn't want it that much. So I am going to attempt to open up the nozzle and put that back in there, okay? And see if I can't loosen up the some more oil coming up here, just restrict it less. So, all right, that's the next on the agenda, to get that fixed. Okay, so this is what we put in there. You can see the hole on the back side is much bigger than the one on the front side. And what I'm trying to do here is to open up that front and see if I can't get it closer to the back. This will restrict the oil, but not quite so much. And that hopefully will bring the oil pressure down a little bit. I'm guessing at this point, but we're going to give it a go. I ended up just cutting the tip off where the restrictor portion of it was, because this stuff here, you can't drill it. I've tried bits for titanium, I don't know, but nothing would drill through it. I was just going through bits. And then I was like, well, wait a minute, the restriction is just at the tip. So I just cut it off. Now I can just slide that in there. Here we go. Now I've restricted my oil to that, which I think is going to be far better. And I've been getting some leaks in this corner and then this corner over here, but predominantly in this corner. I think it's just, again, there's a lot of oil sits up here, even with the restrictors. So I got to figure that out. And I got to look at the oil pan, make sure it's not bent or twisted or distorted in any way. So I went through these things and leveled out the flange. Some of the areas were bent up a little. It's probably been over tightened a few times in its life, I'm sure. So I went around straight, did best I could, got it pretty straight. And my hope is that takes care of that issue. So then I hit him with another coat of paint. All right, so one of the things I really wanted to do on the Thunderbird was I wanted to paint the Thunderbird script on the valve covers the same color as the car. So here we go. There you go. I've got them all taped up. That took me all evening last night, going through these things and getting them all taped up. So let me get some color on it, and then we'll pull the tape off and see what we got. One. Two. We got it, guys. We'll get it untaped here as soon as it dries up, all right? There you go. Go ahead and get the paper off, see what it looks like. All right, guys, got them all painted, clear coated. So let's show you what I got, all right? There you go. Looks pretty good. All right, I guess we're on to the next project. All right, guys, so check it out. Got the bird up in the air so I can get up underneath her and do my final sweep underneath there. I got some areas where I hadn't finished the undercoating. I wanted to get underneath to do that. I can start getting my brake lines run and my brake cables run. All right, I got the all of the underside of this coated now, so that's done. There's a little leak right here. It's a little frustrating, but both sides have a little spot where they want to leak, and I know what it is. I mean, I can look. I don't know, maybe you can see, but this corner is raised up a little bit. It's like bent up a little, and I just got to continue to work on it and do a little bit more straightening. And I also need to, I don't like these manifold gaskets, exhaust manifold. They're just like the paper type. I did get a set of steel ones, so I'm going to pull these off and put those on. And one other thing I've done with this is, I'm sure you guys have heard, as I run this thing, the starter, when it disengages, the starter gear on the Bendix, that, you know, because this is a pull type starter, so it pulls the Bendix gear backwards to the flywheel instead of pushing it. Well, it floats around in there. You'll hear it disengage, and then you'll hear it floating and kind of tinging against the flywheel until the starter gear stops. But there's very little clearance on the other side of the gear between those two gears. So what I did was I got another starter. I got a smaller high torque starter, which was not easy to find. Anyway, so those are the things that I want to play around with on this and get set before I start it again, and then I can test those things out and see how they do. Well, hey there, buddy. Yeah. Well, just walk away. Pretty rude. Everybody out there is like, come say hi. No, I'm going to walk away. All right. Are you going to go over here and roll in the ashes? Oh, of course you are. Of course you are. Why wouldn't you? Weirdo. Come here. Oh, there you go. There you go. You roll in those ashes. All right. All right, buddy. I got work to do, all right? Enough of that, guys. Let me get in here and get some work done. All right, we're gonna bend this down just a little bit. All right, we're just gonna take this corner and try to bring it down a little bit more. There we go. I think we got it. I'll get the other side, and then we'll move on to the exhaust manifolds, right? All right, I got these valve covers reseated I don't know. We'll see. I have no idea if that's going to work. It's getting a little frustrating, really. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull this manifold, get the new gasket in here. We'll get that done. All right, so let me get the other side, and we'll keep going. Hey guys, got the exhaust manifold off on the other side, and I've also got my starter out. And then we'll as soon as the new starter's due to come in today, we'll get that put in, and then put the exhaust manifold back on. Let me go show you the starter and what was going on. This is the starter that goes in there. Here's the gear. And this whole thing, when you energize it, spins in and comes in and catches the flywheel right in here. The problem I'm having isn't that. That works fine. It's when it releases, it floats back and forth in here, and it doesn't really come all the way back and lock in. It floats around, and there's very little clearance between this gear and the flywheel. And so as this is floating around, you can hear it tinking around on the flywheel. And in fact, you can see some evidence right here. There's some metal shavings stuck to this. It must be magnetized. So anyways, that's what was going on. So new starter should be in anytime now, and we'll get that put in. Hey guys. I got my package in, got my starter. So let's pull it out and let's see what we got, and hope it's the right thing and hope it works. All right, let's check and see what I got. All right. Okay, so here's what we're dealing with. So I got the Power Master. It's good for up to 14 and 1-to-1 compression, so it should be good. Directions. And starter. Wow, that is so much smaller and lighter. All right, so there's the old one. Big old beast. And then here's the new one. You can see I'm gonna hold this with one hand. It's, you know, yeah, I'm not even gonna pick that up with one hand. All right, so I like it already. If I ever have to change this thing out in the future, this will certainly be a lot easier to do than this one. All right, so let us see. All right. I think we're good. There you go. All right, looks good. It fits in there. I got to figure out the adjustment to make sure that this thing's going to line up with the flywheel. All right, so you see here, I've got this mounted, snug down, and I got to go in now and see if I got at least 100 thousandths between the starter gear and the flywheel. So that's going to be fun, because I'm going to have to come from underneath the other way in the opening of the flywheel there at the bottom, and see if I can't get in there and measure that. All right, so I finished checking to see if I got 100 thousandths clearance between the flywheel and the gear, and my dog won't shut up. He's really old. You just got to let him do his thing. Anyway. So now I have to pull the starter back off. I need to get the starter gear out and get it splined in, and then make sure to get my 30 thousandths clearance between the teeth. We got the starter out. We need to get the gear pulled out so we can get it splined into the flywheel and then check where the gear is, you know, if it's too tight to the flywheel or if it's too loose, so we can adjust that. They say that you can just pry it out, so we'll give that a try. Yep, I guess you can. And it doesn't stay out.
Spring loaded.
Well, it comes out, but it's spring loaded and it goes back. There you go. I just got me a screw. This should not be in line. The flywheel should be somewhere right here. That's not going to be in line with it. I think that'll work. If it falls out, it can't get in the starter anywhere, and I can get anywhere I want in the bell housing. I'm not worried about that. So, all right, so we got all this resolved. What I had to do was open all these 3 of these holes up a step or so. I don't know exactly what bit I used, but you just have to open them till you get enough movement to be able to pull the starter away from the flywheel. It was just too tight. I mean, it was going in, coming out, okay, but I couldn't get the wire through there and get it in there, so it was just still too tight. So by opening up all 3 of these holes, I was able to get just enough play to move it out just a little, and I got my clearance. So I got good clearance between the gears. I probably have 150 thousandths. They call for a minimum of 100, so we're good there. When we engage the starter, it fully engages on the flywheel, so it's not like partially on. And we now have good gear clearance. So, yay. All right, we're going to go ahead and check the compression. I've gone through the other bank already. Number 1 was 160, and 3, 4, 5 have been 2, 3, 4, and 5 have been 150. So here we go. There you go. So another one at 150. Okay, let's 5, 6, 7. Let's go see what we got.
Ready?
Yep. All right, we're pretty consistent, 150. All right, guys, so right here, you can see number 1, 2, 3, 4, so 150, 160, and then the rest are all 150, so we're pretty consistent. Well, there you have it. I've messed around with all the different things I wanted to mess around with on the engine. Starter is in. I got all my clearances. I got my exhaust manifolds back on, and I got my new metal manifolds on. I have tweaked the valve cover valve covers to see if I can get a better seal on those. I am hooked up with the voltmeter here to the alternator to see if I have a working alternator, because it's old school and it'll be better than anything I buy new, and I'll just rebuild it. And same over on this side. So we're good over here. I've gone through it. I think we're ready to go ahead and start it. Okay, guys, so that was a really good run on this motor. Everything went really well. You guys heard it. It sounds really good. The starter worked really well. So that was a bonus. I didn't have any smoking. So the valve cover seals were working. I mean, that was a good run. So, but for now, the engine will sit because I need to come over here and get started on the wiring for the electronic fuel injection system and the AC system. and start to get all that final routed and ready for the engine to go in. All right, so let's get started on that. So I ordered some new parts. I got a new voltage regulator. I got that in. The radio noise suppressor, I got that all in, a new one in there. I got the horn relay. That was making a terrible noise when I was doing my wiring checks. Got that replaced. And then right there, yep, right there, I got, that is the window safety switch relay, which was stopping me from getting power to my switch panel for the windows in the car. So that should fix that. So I got that. So now what I want to do is I want to put the drain tubes, you see right there and right there. I want to get those on. They're just rubber boots that slide over those. Hear me. You can see right here's where it comes out, and this is the drain for the cowl area up here. Here, I'll show you right here. The water gets into this cowl area, and it drains out right there. And this just goes on there. Very similar to that. So there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these on, and we'll get that done. All right, well, let me show you what I got. Got it all. We got it in. You can see it's just going to direct the water straight down there. Well, one of the things I'm trying to work on right now with this EFI system from Edelbrock is the harness routing. So I've got their ECU here, and I feel like this is probably going to be, I don't know, a pretty good place for it. I got a nice flat right here, which it's not used for anything. So that would be good right there. I think it gets me away from the heat of the exhaust. You know, ignition type things. All of that will be separate or in a different area. I'm going to rough this in a little bit better. Just get a few more things kind of set where I want them, and then I'll bring it back in and show you where we're at. Well, guys, it was a good plan, but putting it right here, which give you some perspective, okay, is right up at the front of the car. I just don't have enough room for this particular harness here, which needs to go over to the engine. So I need it to, let's see. Yeah, I got to go to the distributor and the coil. And in this location, I just don't have, it'll be like this. It'll be all stretched across like that. And that's just not very good. Ain't gonna look good for sure. So let me go over this one more time, and then I'll come back with a final routing. All right. Okay. Well, as promised, I said I would bring you guys back in to show you what I ended up doing. So we come over here. My initial thought was up here, but I just didn't have the room to run all the way around here and get out to the engine. And I didn't really want to come straight across to the engine this way. So I moved over here. And this is where I finally decided on. I set it here. I got it routed here. So this group here that goes back this way comes over here, and it's going to go to the battery. So that's a pretty simple one. It's just your positive, negative to the battery. The other ones that break off this way. So this long one here that goes down to your O2 sensor. And these other two bundles that come along here. Oops, right here. One is your ejector harness and your temperature sensors and things like that. And then you have this one here that's going to go to your coil and distributor. So those are in a pretty good spot now. Okay, so if I put the on there, I've got more than enough room to bring all this to the engine where it needs to go. And the harness that goes here to the injectors is right here, and you can see it's got plenty of length to go from there to where it needs to go, so that's not a problem. The other thing that I had to work on was this wire here that comes out of the bundle is your switch power, so I routed that down and into the car right here. I also ran the harness, where's it? It breaks out right here. Comes off of the ECU and it breaks out right here. I routed it into the car as well in the same place. That is going to go back to the fuel pump. So that'll run through the interior of the car back to the behind the seat where the wiring is for the fuel pump. Anyway, so that's fully mounted. That's all in. And then the other thing I had was here. We had these 3 wires that needed to be spliced onto. And I've gone ahead and ran fan 1 and fan 2. I don't know if I'll use fan 1 and fan 2. I'll definitely use 1. I just don't know what kind of fan or radiator I'm going to get yet. But anyways, that runs up along here. And it's just going to run along. I got it all the way to here, and it's very, very long. So I don't know where I'm going to run with that yet, but I just wanted to have enough to get it up to the front. Probably going to set up some relays up here to the fan. So, all right, guys. I think the electrical is pretty well routed and just needs to be hooked up at this point once the engine's in here. All right, so now we got all this wrapped up. We're electrically, I think we're ready for the engine. We have a couple of things on the firewall to deal with. One of the things I want to start to work on is getting my brake lines all in here and run to the tires. So why don't we get started on that? Well, I've switched over to working on the brakes. So I got to get this loose without breaking it because these lines are actually in pretty good shape. So I'm going to use them. They are in actually really, really good shape. So I am going to try and break this loose without breaking this off. So wish me luck. It don't look so good, does it? All right. So I think I may have got it before. So I got it a little bit loose. So now I just gotta ease it off of here. All right, so there's that. And I got to get that clip off so I can get that off. There, well, there we go. It's moving. Almost got it. Got it. Now, I suppose that's supposed to be able to come off of there, huh? Alright, just ran it over to the vise. There you go. Set it in the vise and just tap this down. And we are free and clear. So I gotta get me a new rubber hose. And over here you can see I've been working on the hardware. Got it all cleaned up, looking pretty good. And just trying to do some rust treating on it now. And if you come over here, I can show you that we got that brake line in. Took me a little bit to figure out the routing of it, but I did finally get it. So you can look over here. It comes through the wheel well there. And it was kind of fun snaking it through there, but we got it. And here I'm rebending some new line for the section going back to the rear wheels. And I just wanted to show you how I do it using these zip ties. That's worked out really well, where I can just kind of make the bend I need, zip tie it, go on to the next bend. And, as you can see here, it's matching up really well. So that's good. And you can see here, I just use a couple of different size sockets to make the bends. Works out really well. So, anyways, and then pop the zip ties and look what you got. And there you go. I popped the zip ties and look at that. Matches perfectly. I mean, there's no way I'm going to do this any other way. That worked so well. Anyways, just wanted to show you guys how I was doing that and how well it worked out. Well, it looks like I am wrapping up at least a portion of the brake lines that I need to get done before the engine goes in. So I really, probably the only one I needed to get in was this one that goes from the master cylinder all the way across to the passenger side. And that's in, and it fits nicely out there on the wheel. So, but I did go ahead and get, this one here runs and connects to the line that goes to the back. That's the, that side. This here's the driver's side. These two here, I'll have to work on them to, all three of these actually, to fit whatever master cylinder I use, since I'm going disc brakes all the way around. So that'll all have to change there. Anyways, enough said about that. Everything is installed that needs to be installed that I can see. So now is my time to go through here, and I'm going to start to go from one end of the dash to the other and seal things, clean up some things, get, I got my throttle linkage on. I'm going to go ahead and get that set and up here out of the way. So when the engine goes in, I don't have that in my way. I'll do that to everything, all of the electrical. I'll get all that up out of the way, and should have a nice clean path for the engine and train to slide into here. I do have the shift linkage hooked up here and ready to go down there. Speedometer cable's sitting down there. I don't see too many things that need to be done besides just a good once over on the firewall and a good cleaning. I've been jumping in and out of here. It's been sitting in here collecting dust for several months, and it just needs a really good cleaning. So that's going to happen before the engine goes in as well. So we'll get this all touched up, clean it up, make it look nice, and we'll go from there. All right. So I'll bring you guys in when I have this wrapped up. Not going to bore you with all that little stuff. All right. We are ready for an engine installation. I've got everything tucked away, tidied up. You can see I've got all my wires, my throttle linkage, all that pulled up and out of the way. Cleaned it. I know you guys probably been looking at this like, man, why does he let it get so dirty? I know, I've been working on this thing, but I've gone in, cleaned it all up now. It's all nice and clean. Not perfect. It'll get a final wipe down when I'm done. It's just, but it looks good. Yeah, looks good. Anyway, all right, so we are, at this point, the engine bay, I believe, from everything I can think of, is ready for the engine. If I've missed something, I'll have to struggle with it. That's about all I can say there. All right, so before the engine goes in, I've got a little bit of an oil pan leak issue that has been going on with each run. So I just finished replacing the the gasket. So I pulled the pan down. So I pulled this pan down, put a new gasket in. This time I used some sealant with it. I didn't use any sealant last time. I should have. But anyways, it's done now. I'm going to let this sit. I'll give this I'll start it up again tomorrow, run it, shut it off. I'll probably run it a couple of times tomorrow. And then the next day I'll run it a couple more times. And as long as I don't get any, wet along here, and then the drips that I was getting, and it was really minor, but, it's not something I want to be dealing with, once this engine's in there, I ain't going to be able to do anything with that pan. So now's the time. So I don't really want this engine going in until I know it's a dry engine. I don't have any leaks, and I'm almost there. That pan's the last thing. All right, guys. So let's see if we got some oil leak issues fixed. So let's get this thing cranked and see what we got. All right, we're gonna let this run, heat up. We'll do that about 4 times. All right, guys, so we got run number 1 done, and we're gonna let it cool down. And once we get it cooled down, we get number 2. I'm gonna try and get 4 runs in it before I make a decision on putting this thing in the car. All right, here goes run number 2. There we go. I'm really looking in this area right now. I saw some oil coming down, and I think I saw some going down into, so I think it was going down into here and then down here. All right, we'll keep an eye on it. All right, well, we're cooling off from run number 2. I don't know if you could hear me when I cranked it, but in between the runs, there was some wetness again along the gasket there of the oil pan. And I started to notice there's a trail. I could see a trail running down here. The freeze plug there had oil in it. Not a lot, enough though. And then it went up into here. And you can see here, we got a little bit of oil right on that one. It was wet up in here and up in here. Again, not a lot, but enough that over time, 3-4 starts, you start to get this trail of oil coming, from up here, coming all the way down, and then gets up into this ridge. It comes down, it seeps its way to the back where it's got a slight tilt. Once it gets back here, it drips. Everything right now is pointing to some leaking. I had some also leaking coming from this side. This was a little bit moist here, through here, and then it came down, and it was all started up here, and it worked its way down. So I got to figure these things out. The other side seems to be sealed, but I'm having a heck of a time getting this corner to seal, and again, just basically the ends. Well, we're gonna let this cool, and we'll do run number 3, but I may take that off before I do that and see what I can do with it. What are we on? 3. Start number 3. I did pull the valve cover off on this side, cleaned it really good, straightened the flange again as much as I could, try to compensate for this stuff. And then I put a little bit of sealant on both sides of the gasket, put it back on. Let's see what we get. on. Okay, so the engine is cooled down, and this is the only real issue that I see. There's just a little bit of oil seeping out around that bolt. So I'm going to clean this up real good in here. Put a little bit of sealant around the hole, right back in. Otherwise, the rest of it has stayed dry. So we'll get one more run and see if I have any other issues, but so far we're good. All right, we're gonna go with number 4. I put some sealant on that one bolt that was had a little bit of a leak around it. See if that fixes it. There we go. For run number 4, we'll see what happens. We're gonna give it a 5th start. Number 4 went really good. 0 leaks. I don't have anything anywhere that I can find. So I'm gonna give it one more. We'll see what we got. Then maybe I pull this off the stand tomorrow. Get it ready to go in the car. So let's try it. All right, we'll let it run for a little bit and see what we get. All right, number 5 went good. So, oh, here we go. So I did an extra run this morning. That's like run 5, and we're still dry. So as soon as this cools, we're gonna go through a whole host of reworking this engine and getting it ready for the car. I gotta finish putting on the rest of the EFI system, harness, the new distributor. I got a new alternator that'll be here that I'll put in. I got to change the water neck and put a 180-degree thermostat in there. I got to reset the timing to 12 degrees, top dead center, well, advanced. I can't remember everything. I got custom length wires I'm going to put on. We're going to try and dress this out really nice. So I got new sensors that all need to be put on. So there's a whole bunch that we're going to do. We're going to run through it pretty quick, get this thing mated up to the transmission, and get it ready to go in the car. So hang on. We're going to move fast. So don't look away. You'll miss something. Okay, that's it. Okay, so after we got our distributor in, set where we wanted, I got my wires run. The next thing I needed to do was get all of my harness run and plugged in. So I chose to route as much as I could underneath my intake manifold, and that seemed to work out pretty good. I just got this tail hanging out here, which will go to the harness that's on the car. And this is the other one that will go to the harness on the car. And all of those ejectors are hooked up. So once I put this engine back in the car, I'll hook those things up, and then it'll just be cleaning up a few other things before we're ready to crank this thing and, see what we got. So, all right, there you go.
Okay.
Mine's out. Got yours?
Yeah.
got it in. All right, guys, let me bring you in and show you what we got. There it is. That came out really nice. I love the way this thing looks in there. Just, okay. And there you have it. I will, I'll put a picture in here for you guys so you can see what it looked like before I took it out. And see what it looks like compared. All right, guys, we're going to do a little cleanup. I'll bring you back in when we get done with that. All right, look, guys. Thank you very much for your help, Matt. Thanks, Dad. We got it. All right, there we have it. I cleaned it up. Got all the EFI system hooked up and run, all tidied up. Looks good. My ECU's right here, runs right along. And very happy the way it came out, that I was able to hide most of the wires by the time I get an air cleaner up here. Most of that will be hidden, so it will still have a carbureted look to it. That's kind of what I wanted. I wanted to make sure, you know, it still had somewhat of a carbureted look, but it won't be. Anyway, that is the end of a long road, guys. A long road. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap this up here. This has been a really good video. Gotten a lot done. Yeah, it's been a fun trip. I jumped on a transmission I didn't expect to do. But after digging into it, I realized I really needed to do it. So, and of course, like always, it came to an end on a long night trying to get the engine stuffed in here. I'd spent all day today afterwards cleaning up, tidying up the engine, getting some of the stuff rehooked back up that needs to be, and cleaning the shop. It was a disaster. Guys, I appreciate you watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one, all right?